Hey, it's Megan Hively here from Yoga to You Wellness. In this sequence today, we are going to be once again exploring our hips, finding some space around the hip area. We'll be finding some contraction and extension of the hip flexor muscles, but also some opening around the adductors. And the adductors are the muscles that bring our legs back together. They add our legs back together. So hopefully by the end of class, you'll be feeling nice and free in the hips. Maybe finding a little dance, why not, because it's fun. But if you are looking for a full flow, please head to my website at www.y2ywellness.com and you'll find a full hour plus flow around the sequence. But for right now, right here, we're going to start on a tabletop. So go ahead, head that way. Take your time, though. We want to make sure that we are stacking shoulders above wrists and hips above the knees once we are in the tabletop. And we'll just begin with some cat-cows here. On the inhale, drop the stomach, look up. On the exhale, press into the hands and round. So inhales, we arch the back. And exhales, we round. If this position bothers your knees, please put a blanket or maybe a pillow underneath. We want to make sure to protect joints as we move through this flow. Just a few more rounds of this spinal flexion and extension. We're also getting into the hips here, warming up. Your next exhale takes you to a neutral spine. From here, we're going to sit into the right hip. So we're just shifting weight over to the right and sitting back a little bit. We're going to take a gentle semicircle coming over to the left and maybe back up to the tabletop. So you might find this little, I call it a half hula hoop movement here. As we sit, we're stretching out this outer glute, sitting around to the other side. Warming up quads a little. Again, if this bothers the knees, don't do it, no worries. Nice. And when you're ready, we'll come back to a neutral tabletop from here. We'll go ahead and tuck the toes and find a downward dog, pressing back gently here. And feel free to start pedaling heels. That's bending one knee, pressing the opposite heel into the floor. Or any other movements that you like to do to warm up your down dog. We want to make sure here, as always, that our belly is pulled into spine, that we have our shoulders pulled into the sockets, protecting our joints. From here, we're going to find an inhale into a tabletop. We're going to bring our toes together, knees a little wider, and sit back into a child's pose. So this is an active child's pose. Our hands reach toward the top of the mat as our hips sit toward our heels. It is okay if your hips don't quite make it. Just keep reaching. I'm going to play with this movement with the breath. On an inhale, find your tabletop. On an exhale, find the downward facing dog. We'll find that inhale into tabletop. Nice and controlled, belly in, and exhale to the child's pose, toes together. Inhale into tabletop. Downward facing dog on the exhale. We inhale into tabletop. Child's pose on the exhale. One more time here, inhale into tabletop. And downward facing dog. We'll inhale into tabletop. And then find your child's pose and we'll hang out for a couple of breaths here. Sitting hips back, reaching hands forward. So from here, we're going to leave our feet and knees exactly as they are, and we're going to walk the upper body up from here. If this bothers your knees or your quads at all, don't do it. Maybe you lift back up into the tabletop and just sit back a little more until you feel some tension around the quads. But if you have the space, we'll sit back on the heels. We're going to take our left hand behind, and you might place it on a block, giving you some height. Or if you can find the floor, that's beautiful. We're going to take the right arm and reach up. This might be where you stay, but if you have more space, go ahead and lift the hips. Look back and reach. I call this our flash dance pose. I'm all about the visuals. On an exhale, we'll sit back onto the heels. Switching sides, the right hand comes behind again, maybe on a block, maybe on the floor, maybe left arm reaches up, maybe hips lift. As we press hips forward, lengthening out our hip flexors here. And exhale, we'll lower to the heels. We'll inhale into the tabletop. Downward facing dog on the exhale. Very nice. From here, we'll pull belly into spine and we'll lift our right leg up into a 3-point stretch, reach. Then we'll step our right foot between our hands. If it takes a couple of times to get there, no worries. Once we're here in a runner's lunge, we'll take a breath. And then we'll lower the back knee. So options here, hands are either by your front foot, on your knee, or overhead, or on some blocks. Whatever feels right. Breathe here, a nice inhale. We'll take hands down on the exhale, and we're going to find a split prep. We sit back here, left hip over the left knee, and then we extend our right foot forward. Micro bend in the right knee. You might have blocks underneath the hands for all of this. Bring floor up to you. It's beautiful. From here, we're going to shift weight forward, take a quarter turn, so we're wide leg on our mat. Our left knee is going to bend as we sit the hips back. Hands might be on blocks here as we open up our right inner thigh. From here, we lift a little through center to find a runner's lunge facing the back of our mat. We're going to step to a forward fold, our right foot meeting our left. A lengthen here. And exhale, fold. You're going to inhale, arms above your head. And bring hands to heart center. And take a breath here. Inhaling, arms up. We fold forward on the exhale. Lengthen. We palm our mat to find our plank. So you can feel free here to take a vinyasa or press to the downward facing dog. From here, we'll find our flash dance flow, inhaling to a wide knee tabletop. Exhale, we sit back. Right arm inhales up. Exhale, have a seat. Left arm inhales up. Exhale, we have a seat. We find a tabletop on the inhale. Downward dog on the exhale. Belly in, left leg is going to inhale up. Runner's lunge as we step our left foot between our hands. Hold here for a breath. When you're ready, the back knee drops, toes untuck. Again, hands are by our front foot, on our knee or overhead. Just taking a couple of breaths to open this back quad. Hands will come down here for the split prep. We'll shift weight back, extending left heel forward just a bit. We really want to try to keep our right hip over our right knee. Blocks, again, great underneath the hands. And we'll shift a weight forward here, tuck the back toes, take a quarter turn. This time the right knee bends as hips sit back. So know that toes are going to point out a little toward the corner of the mat, keeping knee in line with the toes, pointing out. And we'll lift a little through center to find a runner's lunge. facing the front of our mat. Forward fold as left foot meets right. Lengthen here. Exhale, fold. Standing on the inhale. And we'll bring hands to heart center. And take a breath. Inhaling, arms up. We fold forward on the exhale. Lengthen here. Go ahead and palm the mat to find a plank. And feel free again to take the vinyasa or press to a downward dog. With our breath, flash dance. We inhale, wide knee tabletop. Sit back on the exhale. Right arm is going to inhale up. Exhale, lower. Left arm is going to inhale up. Exhale, lower. Tabletop on the inhale. Downward dog on the exhale. 3-point right leg. Runner's lunge. We inhale, low lunge. Exhale, hands down. Split prep, inhale back. Exhale, forward, toe back, toes tuck. We take a quarter turn. Left knee bends, inner thigh here opening. We inhale with a little lift. Runner's lunge toward the back of the mat. Exhale. Inhale here. This time we'll find a plank. Your vinyasa or your downward facing dog. Our last flash dance flow here. Inhale, wide knee. Exhale, sit back. Right arm inhaling up. Exhale, lower. It's the left arm. Exhale, lower. Tabletop on the inhale. Downward dog, exhale. 3-point left leg. Runner's lunge. Lower back knee, inhale, arms up. Exhale, hands down. We inhale to the split prep. We exhale, shift weight forward, back toes tuck, take the quarter turn. Walking to right foot. As we bend the right knee, take a breath. A little lift to find a runner's lunge, stepping back to a plank. Take a vinyasa or a downward facing dog. From here, we're going to inhale up on the toes, walk our feet to our hands for a forward fold. Top of the mat, and then we're going to heel toe our feet out wide. So they may come mat's width, maybe a little bit more. Toes will point out, and then we'll allow our hips to sink. Our hips might sink down through center. If your heels start to lift up off the floor, lift the hips. Maybe you're right here, and that's absolutely beautiful and totally fine. If you can, lower the hips. We have our belly pulled in. We're going to extend, if we're here, our right hand toward the floor, left arm toward the ceiling, so we can use our right elbow here to press open the right knee. From the front, it looks like this. Ooh, look at my balance. Good. As hands come through center, we'll just switch sides. Left elbow inside of left knee, looking up toward the right thumb. Breathe. Beautiful. Hands come down through center. We'll plant hands on the floor to press ourselves back up to a forward fold. Heel toeing feet back toward midline, back toward hip line. And we'll lengthen here. Go ahead and palm the mat to find a plank. Feel free to take a vinyasa or press the downward facing dog. From here, right leg will inhale up. We're finding that dragon's lunge, stepping right foot outside of the right hand. Take a breath. If you want, you can lower the back knee, Untuck toes. You can come down to forearms. We're here just for a couple of breaths. Lots of options, but listen to your body. From here, we're going to press up, heel toeing the foot back to center, back toes tucked so we can lift the back knee. We'll take a quarter turn so we're wide leg on our mat. Forward fold. We'll take a lengthen here, walking to the back of the mat, runner's lunge, and then we'll heel toe left foot over to find the dragons on this side. Sides are different. Find the best variation on this side for you. Maybe staying up on the hands, maybe forearms. Maybe you lift the back knee. You find what works best. Breathe. We're going to lift our upper body up here, heel toe left foot back, the back toes tucked so we can lift the knee. One more quarter turn here. We'll find some length. We'll fold and breathe. From here, lift the upper body a little. You might want to step your feet back. We're going to lower to a very wide knee tabletop, coming into a frog. So in a frog, we think about our knees in line with hips. Turn to the side so you can see. And knees in line with ankles. From here, we might lower down to the forearm. If this is way, way too much, no worries. We could find a wide leg forward fold. We're starting right here. Or you can find frog on the wall if you're close. Frog on the wall is nice. We place our feet on the wall. Again, hips, knees in line with hips, knees in line with ankles, and then we heel toe, feet out wide. This is a great variation. And then we can place our hands maybe on our inner thighs to give us a little extra weight. Not really pushing. We're going to let gravity work for us. If you're face down, just a few more breaths. And wherever you are, we will begin to release this and making our way slowly onto our backs, on our mats. So we'll meet on our backs with knees in the chest. Extending arms out like a T will allow knees to fall toward the left as we maybe look over our right shoulder. And an inhale will bring us back through center. As we switch sides, knees will fall to the right as we look over left shoulder. Knees come back to center here. Go ahead and give yourself a big squeeze, a squeeze of self-love, of acceptance, appreciation, of gratitude. Thanking yourself, thanking your body. And release here. Feel free to stay in a Shavasana for a couple of minutes here. And I will see you next time. Namaste.